Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Slamet Pambudi and I am making this video to accomplish the final assignment of Lexical Studies 2. So in this video, I am going to explain 7 materials learned in Lexical Studies 2. There will be idioms and then fixed expressions and then everyday expressions and then proverbs and then American English and other Englishes. And the last one, slangs. Okay, let's jump into the first question right away. It's about idioms. What are idioms? Idioms are phrases or expressions that have different meaning from their literal meaning. I'm going to give you several examples of idiom. The first one is piece of cake, meaning very easy. The exam today was a piece of cake for me. And second one is break leg, meaning good luck. And the third example is break the ice, meaning to make someone comfortable. Let's take a moment and break the ice. And then the fourth example is rain on someone's parade, meaning to ruin someone's happiness. Does it feel good to you to rain on my parade? And then the last example of idiom I'm gonna give is give a hand, meaning to help. I wish there is someone that can give a hand to me during my difficult moment. And then the second material is about fixed expressions. What are fixed expressions? Fixed expressions are a combination of words which express an idea or specific meaning while still maintaining a lexical connections. And I'm going to give you several examples of fixed expressions. The first one is all along, meaning from the beginning or for the entire time. This is what I have been expecting all along. And then the second example is after all, meaning however, in the end, or anyway. After all, I'm not friends with him anymore. And then the second example is as a matter of fact, meaning truthfully or the truth is. As a matter of fact, she is a very clever girl. And then the next example is by the way or speaking of which, meaning in a related topic. Speaking of which, where is your friend? By the way, where is your friend? And then the next example is in short, meaning as a summary. In short, English is full of interesting topics. And then the last example is no matter what, meaning regardless of anything or everything or under all and every circumstances. I'm gonna go to that place no matter what. And then the third material is about everyday expressions. Everyday expressions are words used to express thoughts, feelings and ideas in daily conversation that sometimes have different meaning from their literal meaning. And I'm going to give you several examples of everyday expressions. The first one is bump, meaning to see. It's nice to bump into you again. And then the second example is crossed path, meaning have ever met. I don't think we've crossed path before. I don't think we have ever met before. And the third is fill me in, meaning tell me. What have I missed? Fill me in. What have I missed? Tell me. And then the next example is what have you been up to? Meaning how are you? How have you been? And then the next example is what makes you tick or what floats your boat? Meaning what makes you happy? And then the next example is for crying out loud, meaning this can be happening. For crying out loud, you can do this. And then the last example is I'm going to have to get going, meaning I gotta go. And the fourth material is about proverbs. What are proverbs? Proverbs are phrases that express basic truth which may be applied to common situations. I'm going to give you several examples of proverbs. The first one, action speak louder than words, meaning it's better to prove something with an actual action rather than by just words or promises. And the second example, no pain, no gain, meaning to achieve something, we must struggle and experience difficulties first. And then the third example is two wrongs don't make a right, meaning when someone has done something bad to us, it's not right for us to do something bad to them in return. Vengeance is not a solution. And then the fourth example is no man is an island, meaning everyone is not fully independent. We all need each other. And then the last example is when in Rome, do as the Romans, meaning we must respect and follow the customs in the place or every place that we were at. Okay, and the fifth material is about American English. So American English is English language used widely in most of states in the United States of America, and it has several differences with British English, and I'm going to show you some words differences between American and British English. For the first one is American says soccer instead of football, and then fall instead of autumn, and then a CV instead of resume, and then faculty instead of staff, and then oatmeal instead of porridge, and then sherbet instead of sorbet, and then vest instead of waistcoats, and then coach instead of sofa, and then mail instead of post, and then movie instead of film, and then cookie instead of biscuit, and then gasoline instead of petrol, and then truck instead of lorry, and then stove instead of cooker, and then apartment instead of flat, and then closet instead of wardrobe, and then pants instead of trousers, and then purse instead of handbag, and then check instead of bill, and then can instead of tin, and then flashlight instead of torch, and then cab instead of taxi, and then eraser instead of rubber, and then candy instead of sweets. Okay, that's about American English. And the sixth material is about Australian English. Australian English is a type of English language used across the continent of Australia. It has several characteristics. The first one, Australian English pronounces the unvoiced like an F. So it is free instead of tree, and it is a mover instead of mother. And then the second characteristic, Australian English has rhyming slangs that are difficult to understand by outsiders. For example, loaf of bread meaning head, and then north and south meaning mouth. And then there are differences in vocabularies between Australian and American English. For example, Australian uses car park instead of parking lot, and then paper knife instead of letter opener, and then footpath instead of sidewalk. Okay, that's about Australian English. And the seventh material is about Canadian English. Canadian English is a type of English language used in Canada. It has several characteristics. The first one, unlike American English that only uses O, Canadian English uses O in certain words like humor, behavior, color, and harbor. And then the second characteristic, same as British English, Canadian English flips the American use of R into ray. For example, in the words theater and center. And then the third characteristic, Canadian English uses double consonants in suffixes of certain words, like, for example, in the words traveled, Canadian English uses double L, unlike traveled with single L in American English. And then the fourth characteristic of Canadian English is when it comes to question tag. For example, in American English, we use the question tag who, huh, and right. You are making dinner, huh? You are making dinner, right? And then in Canadian English, we will use eh. You are making dinner, eh? Okay, well, that's all about Canadian English. And then the last material is about slangs. What are slangs? Slangs are vocabularies, either words, phrases, or lexical usage of an informal register. Slangs are common in spoken conversation, but avoided in formal writing. Sometimes slangs also refer to a language generally exclusive to the members of a particular group in order to establish group identity. And I'm going to give you three kinds of slangs examples. The first one is about acronyms. They're LOL meaning laugh out loud, and then AFI meaning as far as I know, and then ASAP meaning as soon as possible, and then OMG meaning oh my god, and then TBH meaning to be honest, and then CMIIW meaning correct me if I am wrong. And then the second is examples of slangs in verb forms. There is to ghost meaning to break up with someone without explanation, just disappear. And then there is to flex meaning to show off. And then the example of slangs in adjective form, there is dope meaning cool, and then lit meaning amazing, and then sekas freak meaning so amazing and cool, awesome, and then salty meaning angry. Okay, well, that's about slang, and that's about every materials in Lexical Studies 2. Thank you so much for watching, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.